The stars outside the viewing window were silent and cold, stretching endlessly in every direction. Lieutenant Mara Keene sat in the observation deck of the small human exploration ship, her eyes fixed on the distant light of a gas giant. She had always loved this part of space, the emptiness, the quiet, and the feeling that anything could happen in the dark. Today, something unusual appeared on the sensors. A massive fleet, thousands of ships, drifting without direction. It did not match any known charts. The readings suggested a type of technology far beyond anything humans had built. The crew around her paused in their work, all sensing the tension in the air. The fleet looked ancient but powerful, their hulls glowing faintly with a light that was not of human design. Mara could feel her heart beat faster. She had studied alien civilizations, but none had ever been cast out from the Galactic Council. In such a dramatic way, rumors told of powerful species being expelled, but Mara never expected to see it firsthand. Her ship was small, almost nothing compared to what floated in the void before them, but she had a duty. Someone had to reach. Them communication attempts at first went unanswered. Mara tapped on the console, her fingers moving quickly. Each alien language she tried was met with silence, but there was a faint energy pulse, like a heartbeat, from the fleet. It felt alive. It was a strange and frightening sight. The humans had never encountered anything so immense and alone. Crew whispered to each other, unsure if they should retreat or continue. Mara made the decision herself. Fear could not control this moment. Curiosity and responsibility were stronger. She ordered the ship closer. The closer they came, the more details appeared. Ships were damaged, their surfaces scarred by what looked like energy weapons. Some ships floated in pieces, drifting apart slowly. Mara felt a pang of sadness. These were not enemies, not yet. These were proud beings who had fallen into misfortune. She wondered what had happened to them to be cast out by the council. Were they criminals, or was it politics? The stories said the council was not always fair. As the human ship approached, a smaller vessel detached from the fleet and drifted toward them. Mara held her breath. It was sleek, triangular, and almost organic in shape. No one spoke. The small vessel came close enough for visual identification, revealing markings that pulsed faintly with light. The light seemed to react to Mara's presence, as if acknowledging her. Then, finally, a voice, not in words but in thoughts, Mara, blinked, realizing the aliens had communicated telepathically. The message was simple, yet filled with distrust. "Why are you here?" Mara answered as clearly as she could, hoping the aliens would understand. "I am Mara Keene, human. We saw your fleet drifting. We want to help. We are not your enemies." The silence that followed was heavy. The alien ship hovered for a long moment, scanning, as if deciding whether to believe her. Mara could feel the tension building, the weight of history pressing down. These beings had been rejected by an entire galaxy, and here she was, a human. Offering kindness gradually, the alien ship made a slow rotation, a gesture that Mara interpreted as a form of acknowledgement. She signaled to her crew to keep calm. The next hours were tense. The aliens tested every move. Every attempt at communication from Mara was met with suspicion. But slowly, a connection formed. Mara used simple gestures, shared images of Earth, the human colonies, and the work humans had done in science and exploration. She showed that they were not cruel, that they could be trusted. The aliens responded with small pulses of light, revealing that they had memory archives, knowledge of their own history, and a desire to survive. Night fell across the human ship as they remained near the alien fleet. Mara stayed at the observation deck, staring at the vast mass of alien ships. The stars beyond them felt distant, almost unreachable. She wondered what it must feel like to be exiled from the galaxy. The Erethians, as they would later be known, had once been powerful members of the Council, respected for their wisdom and technology. Now they floated in silence, forgotten by the civilizations they had helped. Mara felt a deep sympathy for them. Humans had made mistakes too, but they had a sense of hope, a willingness to help, and that was what she wanted to show. The following day, Mara prepared a small shuttle, one that could approach closer without appearing threatening. She intended to meet the alien leaders face to face, or whatever the alien equivalent was. The shuttle detached, and she felt the familiar thrill of venturing into the unknown. The larger alien ship waited, still cautious, but it did not attack. Mara's hands were steady as she opened a channel for communication. She spoke slowly, clearly, choosing words that any intelligent being might understand. She explained that humans could offer them safety, supplies, and a chance to rebuild. She did not promise the galaxy's acceptance, only that her species could be trusted. The alien ship pulsed with a deep, steady rhythm. Mara sensed a careful deliberation. Then, a projection appeared. Not a person, but a complex form of light and color. The alien leader's mind reached out to her. It was a feeling of wisdom and pain combined. "We are lost," the alien projected. Mara nodded, letting the understanding pass between them. She spoke softly. "You are not alone anymore. We can help you. You're welcome among humans." For the first time, she felt a response not of suspicion, but of cautious hope. The projection shifted slightly, acknowledging the human's words. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but Mara felt it. The ice of exile had begun to melt. Back on the human ship, Mara returned to her crew. Excitement and nervous energy filled the cabin. They had made contact, and the aliens had not reacted with violence. That in itself was a victory. The crew began analyzing the data they had received, discovering patterns of energy and technology that were far beyond human capabilities. Mara realized that this encounter was only the beginning. These aliens had knowledge that could help humanity. And perhaps humanity could help them find a new place in the galaxy. Over the next few days, the human crew and the aliens established a routine. Mara learned more about their customs, their methods of communication, and their history. They had been cast out unjustly, victims of envy and fear from other species. Their civilization was ancient, their technology advanced, but their exile had stripped them of power and influence. Mara listened with empathy, sharing stories of human perseverance and courage. It was a fragile trust, but it grew with each interaction. Mara could feel a change in the fleet. Ships that had floated aimlessly now adjusted their trajectories slightly. As if responding to her presence, aliens began small gestures, sharing maps of the surrounding sectors and helping the humans understand anomalies in the space near them. Mara realized that trust was a two-way street. Humans offered safety and hope, while the aliens offered wisdom and guidance. This exchange, small and cautious, was the first step towards something greater. As they prepared to leave the immediate area, Mara looked at the alien fleet one last time. They were still fragile, still wounded by the galaxy's judgment, but they were alive. Mara felt a sense of purpose, a new responsibility. She had become more than an explorer. She had become a bridge between two civilizations. The journey ahead would not be easy, and the galaxy might not welcome them all. But here and now, in the silence of space, hope had begun. She took a deep breath, her eyes tracing the distant stars, and prepared to guide the Erythians toward a new beginning. One human gesture at a time, Mara guided the Erythian fleet slowly through human-controlled space, keeping a careful distance. From colonies that had not yet learned about their presence, the aliens moved in silence, and Mara could sense their hesitation. They had been hurt by the galaxy, and trust came slowly. She spoke to them with patience, using gestures, drawings, and the simplest words she could find. Every day was a test of understanding and respect. Even the crew of her ship learned to be cautious, speaking only when necessary and giving the aliens space. The aliens were cautious observers. Every human action was watched carefully, every signal and movement studied. Mara could feel the weight of their judgment. Humans were different from other species, she realized. They were unpredictable, sometimes reckless, but their intentions were clear. The aliens seemed to notice this. Slowly, they began responding to simple requests, sharing data about their fleet and technology in ways that humans could understand. It was a small victory, but Mara cherished it. The first contact with another human station was tense. Mara had sent messages ahead explaining that the Erythians were peaceful. but fear traveled faster than words. The station commander hesitated, unsure if opening docking bays to exiled aliens was wise. Mara approached calmly, her voice firm but kind. She explained that the aliens had suffered unfairly, and that humans had the chance to show a different way, a better way. The commander nodded slowly, and after hours of negotiation, permission was granted for temporary docking. The aliens approached with caution. The docking bays were large, but the aliens moved slowly, careful not to collide with any human ships. Mara guided them gently, speaking in simple tones. The humans watched silently, unsure how to react. Some had never seen aliens in person, let alone such an advanced fleet. Mara could see the mix of awe and fear in their eyes. She kept her voice calm and steady. They are not enemies. We will learn from each other. The aliens seemed to respond to her reassurance. The tension eased slightly. Inside the docking bay, humans and aliens interacted for the first time. Communication was slow and awkward. The aliens' bodies were unlike anything humans had studied. They had shapes that seemed to flow, glowing patterns on their skin, and eyes that reflected deep intelligence. Mara used gestures and simple words, teaching her crew to do the same. The aliens gradually imitated these gestures, creating a small bridge between the two species. It was fragile but growing stronger each day. Mara noticed that the aliens were not only cautious but also curious. They studied human technology with interest, asking questions that humans could barely answer. They were impressed by human adaptability. Mara realized that this curiosity was a gift. It meant that the Erethians were willing to engage, to learn, and perhaps to trust. She encouraged her crew to show patience and respect. Every small success, every shared understanding, was a step toward a larger goal. Supplies were exchanged carefully. The aliens brought some of their own food and resources which humans had never seen. Mara watched as the crew marveled at alien devices that could purify water instantly, generate energy from faint heat, or communicate across great distances. The aliens explained the principles slowly, using images and simple vibrations. Humans learned quickly, and Mara could see that. Mutual respect was building. Trust was still fragile, but it existed. The Erethians had a council, and Mara was invited to observe. The council was not a group of individuals like humans understood, but a collective of minds, sharing thoughts and experiences through light and vibration. Mara watched in awe. Decisions were made carefully, every voice considered. The aliens debated whether to stay near human space or move further into uncharted regions. Mara felt honored to be included, even as a silent observer. She realized that they were testing humanity, seeing if humans were worthy of their trust. During these days, Mara learned much about the aliens' history. They had once been respected leaders in the galaxy, their technology sought by many civilizations. But envy, fear, and political manipulation had led to their exile. Mara could sense their pain, but she also sensed hope. Humans were different from other species, and perhaps humans could help them regain some measure of safety and dignity. She shared stories of human resilience, of species overcoming hardship, and the aliens listened intently. Perhaps for the first time in many cycles, Mara worked to strengthen communication. She devised a method of exchanging knowledge using simple symbols, lights, and basic words. It was slow work, but necessary. The aliens responded with interest, creating a system of understanding. Every small breakthrough was celebrated quietly among the human crew. Mara could feel the bond between the two species growing. Trust was not forced, developed naturally like a fragile plant reaching for sunlight. As days passed, Mara and her crew learned to predict some of the aliens' behaviors. They began to anticipate needs and respond before requests were made. The Erethians began to appreciate this thoughtfulness, and small gestures of gratitude appeared. The aliens shared simple gifts, like rare crystals that glowed in patterns, or small devices that could record and project images. Mara understood that these gifts were significant. They were tokens of trust, a signal that the Erethians were willing to engage with humans as allies, not just observers. Mara also noticed the humans reacting to the aliens in unexpected ways. Fear was still present, but wonder and admiration began to grow. Scientists studied alien technology carefully. Students from nearby colonies observed the fleet, and engineers worked to understand the differences. Mara encouraged collaboration, insisting that respect and patience were key. She reminded her crew that any mistake could undo the fragile trust they had built. Her calm guidance helped keep both humans and aliens focused. The first major challenge came when a rogue group of human traders approached the docking station, seeking to steal alien technology. Mara acted quickly, using both diplomacy and authority. She explained the consequences, and the traders reluctantly left. The aliens observed quietly, their responses measured. Mara felt relief. The situation could have escalated, but careful. Human action had preserved trust. It was a lesson for everyone, showing that humans could act with integrity and protect those who were vulnerable. During quiet moments, Mara spent time in observation, watching the stars and the alien fleet. She felt a sense of connection, not just to the Earthians, but to the vastness of space itself. She realized that humans had a unique quality: hope. They could choose to act with kindness and courage, even when fear and uncertainty were present. The aliens seemed to recognize this, their own curiosity and intelligence responding to human actions. Mara felt that something new was beginning, a relationship that could reshape the future. Communication continued to improve. The aliens began to send complex messages, not in words, but in patterns of light and vibration. Mara and her crew learned to interpret these slowly, gaining insights into the aliens' culture, history, and technology. Every message deepened understanding and strengthened trust. Mara felt proud of the progress, knowing that patience and empathy had created a bridge between two very different species. The Earthians were beginning to see humanity not as weak or naive, but as a partner capable of care and courage. Weeks passed, and the aliens grew more comfortable near human space. Mara led them on careful tours of nearby colonies, explaining human customs and laws. The Earthians observed silently, learning quickly. Some humans began to approach the aliens with curiosity instead of fear. Mara encouraged this, teaching respect and caution. The presence of the Earthians was changing human communities, showing that the galaxy could be broader, more accepting, more curious than fear alone suggested. Mara reflected on the journey so far. The Earthians had been cast out by the galaxy, but they had found a chance to belong. Humans were not perfect, but they had shown patience, courage, and empathy. The aliens were beginning to trust, and in that trust, hope had been restored. Realized that the galaxy was vast and full of unknown dangers, but also full of possibilities. The bonds formed here could change not only human history, but the history of the exiled fleet. Together, they could face the unknown, stronger than any species alone, as the Earthians prepared to continue their journey with human guidance. Mara felt a sense of purpose unlike any she had known. She had become a bridge, a guide, and a protector. The galaxy might have cast these aliens out, but humanity had welcomed them in. In this fragile trust, in the careful steps of understanding and kindness, Mara could see the start of a future where humans and aliens could explore together, learn from one another, and face the vast unknown as partners rather than enemies. The stars outside the window seemed brighter now, full of promise. Mara knew that this was only the beginning of a story that would stretch across the galaxy. The day came when Mara guided the Earthian fleet to a larger human space station. It was a place of commerce, science, and diplomacy, far bigger than any station she had ever visited. The aliens were cautious, observing every detail as they approached. Mara kept her voice calm, giving them simple explanations of what to expect. Humans would be curious, she warned them, but the fleet would be safe as long as trust was maintained. The aliens pulsed with a faint light, showing agreement, and slowly followed her instructions. Docking was slow and deliberate. The station commander and his officers had prepared the bays, keeping civilians away and ensuring safety. When the first Earthian ship touched the bay, a quiet awe fell over the humans present. They had never seen such sleek and glowing forms. Before Mara stood near the control console, directing movements, while the aliens scanned the surroundings silently. Some humans whispered in amazement, others in fear, but Mara held the moment steady. She reminded everyone that calm and patience were essential. The aliens moved carefully inside the docking bay. Their bodies glowed faintly, and their shapes shifted in ways humans found hard to understand. Mara guided them to temporary holding areas, simple spaces where they could rest and recharge. She spoke softly, showing them where supplies were located and how humans would help them. The aliens responded in patterns of light and gentle vibrations. It was a form of communication, slow but meaningful. Mara felt relief that they were adapting to this new environment. Humans approached cautiously. Scientists and engineers were the first, eager to learn from the aliens. Mara introduced them simply, explaining that the Erethians had been cast out unfairly, and they only wished to survive and learn. The aliens responded with calm curiosity, sharing small amounts of information about their technology. Devices that could store immense energy, communicate across great distances, and purify water instantly were examined carefully. Mara ensured that respect and safety were maintained, reminding humans to treat the aliens as partners, not objects. First challenge came when a human technician accidentally touched an alien device incorrectly. A small spark erupted, startling both human and alien. Mara acted quickly, calming everyone. She explained that mistakes were natural, but care was essential. The aliens responded by demonstrating the proper way to handle their tools. Humans watched attentively, learning quickly. Mara realized that patience and observation could build trust faster than words alone. Every small success reinforced the fragile bond between the two species. Over the next days, Mara organized exchanges between human and alien teams. Humans showed the aliens simple machines, maps of space, and communication devices. The Erethians shared basic knowledge of energy, systems, navigation, and resource management. Communication was slow and repetitive, but both species learned quickly. Mara felt pride as she watched humans adapt to alien methods, finding solutions the aliens had not expected. It was clear that cooperation could yield results. Neither species could achieve alone. The aliens began to explore the station cautiously. They observed human behavior, learning customs and routines. Some humans were afraid, but Mara encouraged curiosity, tempered with respect. The aliens responded to small acts of kindness like offering food or guidance with patterns of light that conveyed gratitude. Mara understood these gestures as a sign that trust was growing. Slowly, the station's atmosphere changed. Fear turned into curiosity, and curiosity into cautious acceptance. Mara introduced the aliens to basic human routines, explaining meals, rest periods, and communication methods. The Erethians adapted quickly, though their way of moving and perceiving. The environment was different. Mara observed their attention to detail and patience. They studied humans as much as humans studied them. Mara realized that these aliens were not only intelligent, but also reflective. They wanted to understand the humans they were sharing space with, just as humans wanted to understand them. Interactions between humans and aliens began to deepen. Simple gestures like passing a tool or offering a seat became meaningful signs of cooperation. Mara encouraged her crew to learn from these moments, showing that understanding did not always require language. She observed small groups working together on shared projects. Humans adapted alien techniques, and aliens appreciated human creativity. The bond between the two species strengthened with each passing day. The Erethians shared stories of their past. Through light patterns and vibrations, they conveyed experiences of their civilization, their exile, and their hopes for the future. Mara listened attentively, translating for humans as best she could. The stories were filled with loss and resilience, and humans began to understand the depth of what the aliens had endured. Mara felt a deep empathy, realizing that the galaxy had been unfair. Humanity had a chance to show that fairness and kindness could exist even in the vast reaches of space. Mara facilitated discussions between alien leaders and human scientists. They debated methods of energy transfer, navigation through uncharted sectors, and potential ways to repair damaged ships. The conversations were slow but productive. Mara noticed that humans often suggested ideas that surprised the aliens. Adapted quickly, combining alien technology with human ingenuity. The Erathians seemed impressed, their light patterns becoming more animated. Mara felt a quiet satisfaction. Humanity was beginning to earn the aliens' trust through creativity and respect. During quiet moments, Mara walked among the fleet, observing interactions. Aliens watched humans with careful attention, noting gestures, facial expressions, and behavior. Mara realized that trust was reciprocal. Humans were learning patience, and aliens were learning to accept help. Mara reflected on how fragile and precious this balance was. Any misstep could destroy the growing connection. She remained vigilant, ensuring that every interaction was guided by respect and calm understanding. Tensions arose when some humans questioned the wisdom of hosting the Erathians. Political leaders feared that the aliens might be dangerous, that their technology could be misused. Mara addressed these concerns openly, emphasizing the progress made and the mutual benefits. She demonstrated small successes, like repaired ships and collaborative projects, to show that cooperation was possible. Slowly, skepticism eased, though not completely. Mara understood that trust would take time, but every effort mattered. The aliens began to offer more complex gifts. Small devices capable of recording images, purifying air, or generating energy in new ways were shared carefully. Mara explained their purpose to humans, ensuring they were treated with respect. The aliens appreciated this careful approach, demonstrating that they valued human understanding. It was a turning point. Mutual respect and curiosity were solidifying into a true partnership, fragile but promising. The first joint project was the repair of a small Erathian ship. Humans and aliens worked together, sharing techniques and ideas. Mistakes were made, but they were corrected quickly. Mara guided both sides, teaching patience and observation. The ship was repaired, and the aliens responded with a display of light and vibration that Mara interpreted as pride. Humans cheered quietly, understanding the significance. It was proof that collaboration could overcome fear, mistrust, and misunderstanding. As the days passed, Mara observed changes in both humans and aliens. Fear was replaced by curiosity by understanding, and understanding by cautious trust. Small acts of kindness, like sharing meals or helping with repairs, became symbols of friendship. Mara felt that something new was forming, a bond that could reshape interactions between species in the galaxy. She realized that the Erathians were beginning to see humanity not as naive or weak, but as capable partners, worthy of respect. The aliens began exploring more of the station, observing human routines and technology. They asked questions, sometimes challenging human methods, sometimes suggesting improvements. Mara encouraged this engagement, showing that learning was a two-way street. Humans responded with creativity and flexibility. Mara watched the progress with quiet pride, knowing that trust was growing through mutual understanding and effort. It was slow, careful work, but it was working. Mara reflected on the journey so far. The Erathians, once cast out by the galaxy, were finding a place among humans. The process was delicate, requiring patience, empathy, and guidance. Humans had shown that they could offer safety and understanding, and the aliens were beginning to respond in kind. Mara felt hope, believing that this partnership could grow, helping both species navigate the unknown dangers and possibilities of space. Together, they were stronger than they were apart. As the sun of the nearby star station glinted off the alien holes, Mara felt a quiet satisfaction. The first steps of trust had been taken. Humans and Erathians were learning from each other, building connections and sharing knowledge. Mara knew the journey ahead would be long and sometimes dangerous, but she felt certain that cooperation and empathy could guide them. In the quiet of the observation deck, she looked at the fleet, pulsing gently with light, and imagined the possibilities. Humanity had begun to welcome the exiled, and a new chapter of galactic history was beginning. One small step at a time, life on the human space station had settled into a careful rhythm. Mara moved among humans and Erythians, ensuring that cooperation remained steady. Not all humans were pleased with the aliens' presence. Some feared that their advanced technology could be dangerous, or that the aliens could manipulate humans. Mara understood these fears and spoke calmly, explaining the progress and the benefits of trust. She reminded them that the Earthians were victims of exile, not enemies, and that humanity had a choice to act differently. Some humans listened, some did not, but Mara stayed patient. The aliens themselves were cautious observers. They noticed human behavior carefully, noting gestures, routines, and expressions. Mara could sense their careful scrutiny. The Erythians had been betrayed before, and trust was fragile. Every small action mattered. Mara worked hard to ensure that human reactions were measured and respectful. She taught her crew to anticipate alien responses and to act with thoughtfulness. Slowly, the tension between species began to ease, placed by cautious curiosity and mutual observation. The first real test of trust came when news arrived of a small group of humans planning to sabotage the aliens' technology. Mara learned of the plot through quiet observation and careful listening. She acted immediately, speaking with the perpetrators and explaining the consequences. The humans involved backed down, realizing that cooperation with the aliens was more valuable than fear or greed. Mara watched as the Erythians pulsed faintly in appreciation, a subtle acknowledgement that trust had been preserved. It was a small victory, but a crucial one. Daily interactions became more complex. Humans and aliens worked together on repairing ships, analyzing technology, and sharing knowledge. Mara facilitated every exchange, keeping instructions simple and clear. The aliens shared information about energy systems and navigation that humans had never understood before. Humans offered ingenuity and adaptation, showing the aliens that they could be useful allies. Every successful collaboration strengthened the bond between species. Mara could feel that the fragile trust was becoming a real connection. Not all interactions were smooth. Some humans still resisted, speaking in fear and suspicion. Mara addressed these concerns openly, organizing meetings where questions could be asked and answered. She emphasized respect, caution, and patience. The Erythians responded with light patterns that expressed understanding and appreciation. Mara realized that these small gestures were vital. They showed humans and aliens alike that cooperation could succeed when guided by care and thoughtfulness. The station slowly became a place of learning and exchange, rather than fear. The aliens began to explore the station more freely. They observed human routines and customs, adapting to schedules and rules with surprising speed. Mara guided them gently, explaining human ways in simple terms. Humans observed in turn, learning from alien methods and technology. Mara noticed moments of subtle humor and curiosity among the crew as humans tried to imitate alien gestures or understand their methods. Laughter and small successes helped break down fear, creating a sense of shared experience. Trust grew quietly, one interaction at a time. One day, an important decision arose. The Erythians had to decide whether to remain near human space or continue into uncharted regions. Mara was invited to observe. The council communicated through light patterns and vibrations. Mara watched in awe as their thoughts merged, debated, and reached conclusions. She understood that they were weighing trust in humans against their desire for safety and independence. Mara felt honored to be present, even silently. She realized that her role as a guide and bridge was more important than ever. During this period, small cultural exchanges took place. Humans showed the aliens art, music, and simple forms of entertainment. The aliens responded with patterns of light and sound that humans could barely comprehend. Mara helped translate and explain these gestures. The exchanges were delicate, but each one brought understanding. Humans began to see the aliens as beings with history, emotion, and intelligence, not just as advanced technology or exiled strangers. Mara felt hope that these bonds could shape a lasting relationship. Tension remained from outside the station. Some political leaders and media outlets spread fear, questioning why humans welcomed the Erethians. Mara addressed these issues through calm explanation and demonstration of successful projects. She highlighted the growing trust, repaired ships, shared knowledge, and improved cooperation. Slowly, skepticism softened, though not completely. Mara understood that trust was always fragile, but every effort to maintain honesty and respect mattered. The Erethians seemed to recognize this human integrity. Collaborative projects increased in complexity. Humans and aliens worked together on energy systems, communication networks, and navigation techniques. Mara facilitated communication, translating between human words and alien light patterns. Mistakes occurred, but each error became a learning opportunity. Mara guided both sides, emphasizing patience and observation. Each successful project strengthened the connection, proving that cooperation could overcome fear, mistrust, and misunderstanding. Trust was no longer theoretical, it was tangible. Small gestures became important. Humans offered food, guidance, or simple acts of help. The aliens responded with light and subtle vibrations, showing appreciation. Mara noticed that these exchanges, though minor, were critical. They were signs of growing trust and mutual respect. Humans began to understand that the aliens were not dangerous, while the aliens began to accept human help. Each interaction reinforced the fragile but growing bond between species. Unexpected events tested this trust. A rogue human traitor tried to steal alien technology. Mara acted quickly, using both diplomacy and authority to stop the theft. The aliens observed silently, watching human reactions closely. Mara's careful action prevented a disaster and reinforced the lesson that humans could be trusted. The Erethians pulsed light and acknowledgement, a subtle sign of approval. Mara felt relief, knowing that a moment of crisis had strengthened, rather than weakened, the fragile bond. During quiet moments, Mara reflected on progress. The Erethians, once cast out by the galaxy, were finding safety and trust among humans. Fear was gradually replaced by curiosity, and curiosity by understanding. Mara saw that the bond depended on patience, empathy, and careful guidance. Every action mattered, and every small success was a step toward lasting cooperation. Mara realized that the galaxy might still judge the aliens harshly, but humans had created a place where trust could flourish. The aliens began to share more complex knowledge. They demonstrated new energy systems, navigation methods, and tools that humans had never imagined. Mara helped interpret their actions, teaching humans to adapt and learn. The Erethians responded to human creativity with interest, recognizing that humans could offer unique solutions. Mara felt pride, seeing the beginnings of a partnership that could change the future. Cooperation was proving stronger than fear, and trust was growing steadily. As the days passed, the station transformed. Fear and suspicion were replaced by curiosity, understanding, and cautious respect. Humans learned to act thoughtfully, anticipating alien needs, and aliens learned to accept human help. Mara observed the subtle changes, seeing trust reflected in every gesture, every shared success, and every project completed together. She understood that this relationship was fragile but precious, capable of shaping a new era of cooperation. In the galaxy, Mara continued to guide both species, ensuring that interactions remained respectful and productive. She emphasized patience, observation, and empathy. Humans responded with creativity and adaptability, while aliens responded with curiosity and caution. Each success strengthened the fragile trust. Mara realized that the process would take time, but the progress so far had shown that collaboration was possible. Humanity had welcomed the exiled, offering safety, understanding, and hope. As the stars glimmered beyond the observation windows, Mara reflected on the journey. The Erethians had been cast out by the galaxy, left alone and abandoned. Yet among humans, They were beginning to find trust, safety, and acceptance. Mara knew that challenges remained, but she felt hope. Humanity had the power to act differently from other species, showing empathy and courage. The bond between humans and Earthians was growing, fragile but real, and it promised a new chapter in the galaxy, one where cooperation and understanding could triumph over fear and prejudice. A sudden alert rang through the human space station. Mara rushed to the observation deck, her heart quickening. Sensors detected an approaching fleet, rogue vessels moving unpredictably and aggressively. The station commander confirmed that the fleet had attacked nearby colonies. Mara immediately realized the danger. Both humans and Earthians were at risk. She knew that this was the first major test of the fragile trust and cooperation that had been built. The aliens looked to her for guidance, and she felt the weight of responsibility. Heavy on her shoulders, Mara quickly convened the Earthian Council through the established communication method. Light pulses and vibrations carried their responses. Filled with caution and concern, Mara spoke in simple words, explaining the threat and suggesting a joint defense. The Earthians hesitated briefly, then responded with agreement. Mara could sense their trust in humans had grown enough that they were willing to fight alongside them. She felt a surge of hope. This was not just a test of survival, but a chance to prove humanity's courage and reliability. Preparations were immediate. Humans and Earthians worked together to ready the station and nearby ships. Mara coordinated with both sides, ensuring that communication was clear and tasks were assigned efficiently. Humans adapted alien methods of defense, while aliens adapted human tactics. Mara moved quickly between groups, demonstrating patience and calm leadership. Despite the tension, the station buzzed with determination. Every member knew that failure could mean disaster, but trust in one another kept fear at bay. As the rogue fleet approached, Mara observed their formations. Their ships were fast and well-armed, but disorganized. The humans and Earthians would need to act with precision and unity. Mara directed the first wave of ships, combining human ingenuity with alien technology. Shields were raised, weapons positioned, and communication networks strengthened. The Earthians shared energy manipulation techniques, while humans contributed strategy and improvisation. Mara marveled at how quickly the two species adapted to each other's methods. The first skirmish began near a distant asteroid field. Humans and Earthians moved in coordinated patterns, surprising the rogue fleet. Mara watched from the observation deck, her eyes scanning the displays, her hands moving across the controls. She directed reinforcements, relaying information between human captains and Earthian leaders. The battle was tense, with small victories and setbacks. Mara reminded everyone to remain calm, emphasizing trust and cooperation over rash action. The Earthians demonstrated extraordinary skill, manipulating energy shields and weapons in ways humans had never seen. Humans responded with creativity, using unexpected tactics to protect allies and exploit openings. Mara guided the coordination, ensuring that every action was synchronized. Communication was slow, but effective, combining gestures, light pulses, and simple words. The fleet began to gain ground, and Mara could sense the growing confidence of both humans and Earthians. They were proving their ability to work as one. During the battle, Mara noticed moments of individual courage. A young human pilot risked her ship to protect an Earthian vessel under heavy fire. An alien engineer moved quickly to repair critical systems on a damaged human ship. Mara felt a deep pride. These small acts of bravery and selflessness reflected the strength of the trust that had developed. Humans and Earthians were no longer separate. They were learning to act as a single force, bound by understanding and shared purpose. The rogue fleet regrouped, attempting a concentrated strike on the station. Mara anticipated their move, guiding ships to counter the attack. Humans and Earthians worked together seamlessly, combining technology and tactics. Mara felt a surge of relief as the station's defenses held firm. The aliens pulsed with light, showing approval of human decisions. Mara realized that this cooperation was more than survival. It was proof that humanity could rise to challenges and earn the respect of even the most advanced species. As the battle continued, Mara focused on communication. She ensured that no team was isolated, relaying critical information and anticipating threats. Humans adapted alien techniques, while aliens adjusted to human improvisation. The combined forces created unexpected strategies that the rogue fleet could not counter. Mara observed the growing confidence on both sides. Fear had given way to determination, and determination had strengthened trust. Every success reinforced the fragile bond between species. Midway through the engagement, a particularly aggressive enemy vessel threatened to breach the station's defenses. Mara coordinated a risky maneuver, combining human piloting skill with Aerothian energy manipulation. The plan succeeded, disabling the vessel without unnecessary destruction. Humans and aliens celebrated quietly, recognizing the significance. Mara understood that these victories were more than tactical. They were symbolic. Trust, cooperation, and mutual respect had allowed both species to face a common threat and survive. As the battle progressed, Mara noticed a subtle change in the Aerothians. Her light patterns became more fluid, less cautious, reflecting confidence. In human allies, Mara smiled quietly. The bond that had taken weeks to form was now tested in the crucible of combat, proving its strength. Humans adapted quickly to alien methods, while aliens learned from human creativity. Together, they were stronger than they had been alone. Mara felt hope that this cooperation could continue beyond the current crisis. Finally, the rogue fleet began to retreat, unable to counter the combined human-Aerothian tactics. Mara coordinated the pursuit carefully, ensuring no unnecessary risks. The enemy ships disappeared into the void, leaving the station and fleet safe. Mara exhaled, relief washing over her. Humans and Aerothians had faced danger together and emerged victorious. The moment was quiet, but it carried immense significance. Trust had been tested, and both species had proven worthy of each other's confidence. In the aftermath, Mara guided both sides in repairing damages and sharing lessons learned. Humans and aliens worked side by side, reinforcing bonds and learning. From each other's methods, Mara observed small acts of gratitude. Aliens helping humans with repairs, humans offering food and aid. She understood that these gestures, though simple, were crucial. They were symbols of trust, cooperation, and respect. The bond between species had grown stronger, tempered by shared challenge and survival. Mara also reflected on the significance of the battle. The Aerothians, once cast out by the galaxy, had fought alongside humans, proving that trust and collaboration could overcome fear and prejudice. Humans had shown courage, creativity, and patience. Together, they had achieved something neither could have done alone. Mara felt pride and hope. The battle had forged a connection that could shape the future, demonstrating that humanity's qualities of empathy, ingenuity, and courage could earn respect even from the most advanced species. The Aerothians communicated gratitude and admiration through light and vibration. Mara interpreted the messages for human teams, emphasizing that their actions had not gone unnoticed. Humans felt a quiet sense of accomplishment, understanding that cooperation and trust had tangible rewards. Mara knew that this moment would be remembered by both species as proof that collaboration and empathy were powerful tools in a vast and often hostile galaxy. In the days following the conflict, Mara worked to maintain stability and continue strengthening bonds. Humans and Aerothians repaired ships, exchanged knowledge, and planned future joint ventures. Mara emphasized patience, communication, and careful guidance. Once fragile, was becoming a lasting connection. Humans had proven their value. As allies, and the Aerothians were learning that help and friendship could exist even in a galaxy that had once rejected them. Mara spent quiet moments observing the fleet. Ships moved smoothly, systems worked efficiently, and both species interacted with mutual respect. She felt a sense of accomplishment and hope. The battle had tested trust and both humans and aliens had emerged stronger. Mara realized that the journey ahead would not always be easy, but the lessons learned in cooperation, courage, and empathy would guide them. Humanity had begun to earn its place in the galaxy, not through power alone, but through integrity and courage. As the stars glimmered beyond the observation deck, Mara reflected on the future. The Erethians had been cast out, but they had found allies in humanity. The bond formed through shared challenge and mutual respect was strong and growing. Mara knew that this was only the beginning of a greater journey, one where humans and aliens could explore, learn, and face unknown dangers together. The galaxy had rejected the Erethians, but humanity had welcomed them, proving that courage, empathy, and ingenuity could change the course of history. The aftermath of the conflict left the human station and the Erethian fleet in a state of cautious optimism. Mara moved among the aliens and humans alike, observing the quiet conversations, the shared repairs, and the careful exchanges of knowledge. The bond formed in battle had strengthened trust, but Mara knew that integration would take time. Every interaction mattered, and patience was still essential. She guided both species, emphasizing calm, understanding, and mutual respect. The Galactic Council soon took notice of the unusual alliance. Reports arrived that humans had welcomed the exiled Erethians, provided aid, and even collaborated in defense. The Council, previously indifferent or hostile to the aliens, now faced a new reality. Mara understood that this was a delicate moment. Humans and Erethians had to show patience, integrity, and wisdom to prove that their cooperation could succeed. Mara spoke to both sides, encouraging careful communication and transparency. The Erethians, still cautious, sent representatives to meet with human leaders and council envoys. Mara facilitated the discussions, ensuring that the aliens' history, suffering, and intentions were clearly understood. Humans explained their own methods, emphasizing empathy, creativity, and collaboration. Mara watched as the council representatives reacted with surprise and curiosity. The story of exile and welcome was powerful, and it highlighted humanity's ability to act differently than other species. Mara felt hope, sensing that the tide of opinion was beginning to shift. Inside the station, humans and Erethians continued to work together. Daily life included shared meals, training exercises, technology exchanges, and joint exploration of nearby sectors. Mara noticed small gestures of friendship, humans assisting aliens in adapting to station routines, and aliens offering guidance on advanced systems. Mara emphasized that every interaction, no matter how minor, reinforced trust and connection. The bond between species was no longer fragile. It was growing, carefully nurtured through patience and understanding. The first cultural exchange was organized. Humans showed the Erethians art, music, and literature. The aliens responded with displays of light and vibration that conveyed emotion, history, and creativity. Mara helped interpret, ensuring that humans appreciated the depth of alien culture. These exchanges deepened empathy, allowing each species to understand the other not just as allies, but as sentient beings with history and emotion. Mara felt proud of the progress, knowing that mutual respect was now rooted in shared experience, and understanding political challenges arose. Some human factions and council members still distrusted the Erethians. Mara addressed these concerns openly, demonstrating the benefits of cooperation and the lessons learned in battle. She highlighted how humanity had helped the aliens survive, integrate, and contribute to shared knowledge. Slowly, skepticism softened. The success of collaboration had proven that trust, patience, and empathy could outweigh fear and prejudice. Mara saw that humanity had the potential to lead by example in the galaxy. The Erethians began to offer more advanced knowledge to humans. They shared methods for energy generation, faster-than-light navigation, and communication across vast distances. Mara ensured that humans learned responsibly, emphasizing careful study and respect. The aliens appreciated this approach, responding with light patterns of approval. Mara realized that the relationship was now a true partnership. Humans gained knowledge and wisdom, while the Erethians gained safety, trust, and allies. Together, they were stronger and more capable than ever before. Exploration missions began. Jointly, humans and aliens traveled to uncharted sectors, studying anomalies and mapping unknown regions. Mara observed the teams, noting how well humans and Erethians adapted to each other's methods. Humans applied creativity and problem-solving, while aliens offered insight and precision. Every mission strengthened the bond, proving that cooperation could achieve what either species alone could not. Mara felt pride and satisfaction. Knowing that this integration had created a new path forward, education programs were established. Humans taught Erethians about human society, ethics, and innovation. Erethians taught humans about advanced science, philosophy, and their history. Mara facilitated these exchanges, keeping communications simple and clear. Students from both species learned quickly, and Mara watched with quiet satisfaction. She realized that the next generation would grow up understanding collaboration, trust, and mutual respect. Humanity's willingness to welcome the exiled had created a foundation for lasting change. News of the Human-Erethian alliance spread across nearby systems. Other civilizations took note, some with skepticism, some with curiosity. Mara knew that this was only the beginning of a larger challenge. The galaxy might still judge, oppose, or misunderstand, but the example of humanity's courage and empathy would remain. Mara felt a sense of responsibility and purpose, knowing that the success of this integration could inspire others to act differently. Humans had set a new precedent, showing that acceptance and cooperation were possible even in a vast and often harsh galaxy. Over time, joint projects expanded. Energy systems were improved, navigation techniques refined, and shared defenses strengthened. Mara coordinated efforts, ensuring that humans and Erethians maintained mutual respect and communication. The station became a hub of learning, research, and diplomacy. Mara noticed the subtle ways trust and friendship grew. Shared meals, exchanged stories, collaborative problem-solving. Every day reinforced the idea that humans and aliens could build a new future together. Mara reflected on the journey so far. The Erethians had been cast out, left alone, and abandoned by the galaxy. Humanity had welcomed them, offered guidance, and helped them find safety and purpose. Trust had been tested in times of peace and danger, and it had endured. Mara realized that the lessons learned went beyond survival. They showed that courage, patience, empathy, and creativity could reshape relationships, challenge prejudice, and create lasting bonds. As the sun of a distant star glimmered across the station, Mara looked at the Erethian fleet. Ships pulsed softly, moving with confidence and purpose. Humans and aliens interacted with understanding, respect, and care. Mara felt a sense of completion and hope. The journey of exile had ended not with despair, but with acceptance and partnership. The galaxy might have rejected the Erethians, but humanity had welcomed them. Proving that kindness and courage could triumph even in the vast unknown, Mara knew challenges would continue. Other species, political pressures, and unknown dangers awaited. Yet she felt confidence in the strength of the bonds formed. Humans and Erethians had shown that cooperation could succeed against fear, prejudice, and adversity. Mara understood that the story was ongoing, but the foundation was solid. The exiled had found allies, trust had been earned, and humanity had proven that it could act with empathy, courage, and integrity in the quiet moments. Mara stood on the observation deck, looking at the stars stretching into infinity. Humans and Erethians moved below, working together, learning and exploring. Mara felt a sense of pride and peace. The galaxy had cast the Erethians out, but humanity had welcomed them in. Together they had proven that trust, courage, and empathy could shape a future where cooperation and understanding were possible. Mara smiled, knowing that this was only the beginning of a new chapter in galactic history. One where humans and aliens could face the unknown together, stronger and wiser than ever before.